Every damn day.
Hello, everyone. It's Jerry at the Fledge, and welcome to another episode of Every Damn Day. And today we have on the show our new friend Nathaniel, and we're going to talk about real estate and alternatives to investing and stuff like that. How you doing today, Nathaniel?
I am great. I am having a great morning. Absolutely.
I'm having a morning full of hiccups, but I'm glad to be on the show with you. I'm excited to talk to you. So, as we get started here, will you tell us a bit about yourself and kind of what got you into this?
Sure. Well, I have a top-ranked real estate team here in Los Angeles, and I've done this for about 11, almost 12 years now. I kind of came at real estate in a different perspective than a lot of people's genesis, if you will. I was in education, and I've taught in almost every level of school, all the way through college. And so, preschool, college, I skipped elementary school because, save time. But, I was finishing my master's degree, and I was getting offered all these great jobs. And I thought, well, what are these? What do I want to do? What will I enjoy doing here? And I realized none of those jobs were going to fit me. So what I did was I sat back for a minute and I went, okay, let's combine all of my passions together, and what would that be, right? So the core of everything I do is to help people and educate and help people grow. So that was one. And then I had been investing in real estate for probably about almost 10 years at that point. And I like my little guilty pleasure was studying the market, right? And then in school, what I would do is I studied how cities grow, why they grow, what makes people move, the psychology of how people choose where to move. And so, I thought, okay, well, if I could help people with, for the most part, it's people's largest financial investment in their life, and it can literally set up their families for generations if it's done right, and change their lives for the better. And for people who it's not their largest decision, it's still a impactful decision in their life. So I thought, okay, if I could do that and then help people, and it was about 2010, which, if you remember, back then people were still running in the streets going, real estate, oh no, housing, it's over. So I figured I'd get in then, and I'd start to learn, and if I could make it then, I could make it anytime. And here we are almost 12 years later, and been ranked in the top percentage in the country. So yeah.
There are so many words there that you've used that I want to unpack a little bit. One, I want to start with just being an educator. You were in the classroom, and that is a very tough job.
Oh yeah. In every level. You think, it's funny because a lot of people start in like a high school or junior high school, and they think, oh well, it'll be easier if you were to teach in college, or it'll be easier if you're with littler kids. And education is never easy, but it can be intrinsically rewarding, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing, because you watch people grow. I mean, even now I have students that I worked with 10 years ago that I'm watching them flourish, and they're like, well, remember when we did this or when we did that? And it's like, I kind of do, actually. And they said, well, they remember, and it guided them through 9, 10 other decisions, right? And so, and I've had education in my past that is, I still think back to things that happened 20 years ago, and I think, okay, there's certain lessons that just stick in your mind that are kind of life lessons more than, well, what year did that person cross the Potomac?
I don't know.
Right.
So does that help you with your real estate business? Do you call it a business? I guess you would.
Yeah, it definitely is a business, but it's also, it's a business that I figured out a way to enjoy what I do, right? And so it helps me because a lot of people with the right information can make much better choices that serve them better, right? So, um, you know, in businesses, very often it's very transactional. It's just, hi, oh, let's close this deal, let's get it done. Okay, great, we closed the deal. Now I succeeded. But I have a totally different way of looking at helping people figure out where to go. Like a lot of people will go, okay, well, real estate, it's about the price per square foot and the cost of the neighborhood. And we just have to look at the costs, and then your costs will dictate what you get and how big your house is and how pretty your view is, and et cetera, et cetera. But that's actually doing it wrong. So what you have to look at is what people discount quickly is their their lifestyle dramatically changes based on where and how they live, right? So you have to look at what lifestyle you want to get, what lifestyle you want to achieve. You know, it's lots of little things. Like if you do you know the number one determining factor for if somebody uses green space, meaning outdoor green space, the number one determining factor?
I do not know that.
Take a wild guess. Is it how much they love nature? Is it as they're athletic? I mean, what do you think?
Well, does it have easy access? Is it walkable?
Right. Access is the number one thing. So proximity. So if you're close, you're going to use it. Even people who love hiking and love waterfalls and love stuff, they're not going to go very far if it's hard to access, right? But studies have shown, and everyone pretty much agrees, it's very healthy for your mental health. I mean, sorry, not healthy for your mental, that didn't make sense, but it's very good for your mental health to go outside and do these things and do things you enjoy. But even other things people enjoy, if they're not close to them or easily accessed, they're not going to do them, which over time degrades your lifestyle, right? So, you have to look at the lifestyle that you want. And to really understand that, you have to be kind of self-educate yourself a little bit about what are the things I want, because a lot of people don't identify that. They just go, well, I want to live in the nicest neighborhood. I want to live in the biggest house. I want to live in the highest, the highest view. But if you really break down all the factors, it can help for people to enjoy their homes a lot better. Like, for example, I had a guy who was moving here from Australia, and he goes, I just want to live in LA. I don't care. Like, here's my price point here. I just want to live in this giant general area. I said, well, let's take a minute. Let's step back. Let's figure out what are the things you want to get to every day. What things do you enjoy doing? Do you want to be able to walk to your restaurants? Do you want to be able to bicycle somewhere? Do you want, right? And we really broke it down, and then we found him a great place that he's extremely happy with. And he goes, I'm so happy we took that time to identify the things that were actually values to me. That makes sense?
So he's got a new favorite pub then. He's by the pub, right?
he can get to his gym. What we mapped out for him was he wanted to be able to get to his gym, get to a few coffee shops, get to the pubs he likes to hang out at, and get home all within a certain little area, without getting in a car.
Well, that's brilliant because, I think a lot of people do think I want this 10-bedroom with this pool and this other stuff. And those aren't really the quality of life factors that most people need.
That's right. So. That's right. In fact, I have a guy, he bought a 15,000 square foot house, gorgeous. I mean, stunning, very unique, very, the master was on the bottom floor. And I visited him and I said, oh, how's it going? He goes, I'm good. And he goes, you know what? I haven't been upstairs in a month.
Wow.
I'm like, what do you mean you haven't been up? He goes, I had no reason. I would have no reason to go upstairs in this house. There's no reason. So he hadn't been even on the upper floor of his house because the master was downstairs, obviously. But he hadn't even been upstairs in months. That is not the right fit.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
People, you gotta have something that's a good fit for you. So
go ahead.
Oh, it's interesting because if you, even from the moment you wake up, your environment is affecting how you feel, how you're thinking. You know, are you feeling positive in the morning? You know, a lot of people, um, their business depends on a positive mindset. And, like I was talking to somebody yesterday and she goes, well, if I feel good when I wake up, I work out. If I don't, I just lay there for a while. Right. And she said a big part of it is the way the room feels, the lighting, the sounds that she hears, So um, if you're able to create a great environment from the moment you wake up, you're in a better mental and physical state, which means you can be more productive in the day. And, in an overall bigger picture idea, your life is better and more productive.
Yeah. I
So,
like it. I like that you're thinking about that for people because, real estate feels so transactional sometimes, right?
exactly.
And
Hmm.
I also think that people think they can look at a listing or a set of listings and say, there's the house I want. And without looking at that surrounding, without doing these factors. So, I've got some people trying to automate I help entrepreneurs. So they're trying to automate the real estate process and making it all online and kind of take the real estate agent out of it a bit,
Hmm.
but that would be the opposite of what you might recommend. And I actually think you have this really positive mission. I'm getting this vibe from you that you do want to help people have that happier life. So do you ever see this being more automated where the transactions are just done online and
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because even Compass, which is now the number one, I think it's the number one real estate company in the country, which was kind of amazing because they didn't exist 6 years ago, and that's where my brokerage is. It's a part of Compass now, but they were originally trying to completely automate the system as well, and it really didn't work out. And so then, I mean, in a short version, they took the tools that they had built to automate, retooled them to empower super agents, right? And that's really what the winning formula is, because it's still a people business, right? You're not, you know, it's not like a car that you just mass produce on a conveyor belt, right? Even even the track homes, and even homes that are all similar, they have different views, they have different feels, they have different, you have to go in and feel the house. I just had a guy who actually moved to Miami, and he called me after. He didn't call me before, to be clear, because I wouldn't have recommended to do this. But and he calls and he goes, okay, so I did a video walkthrough of this house in Miami, and my girlfriend was there, and the agent and the girlfriend told me I'm good to go. And then he got to Miami and he's like, it was nothing. It was nothing of what I felt, what I saw. It felt like a completely different property. Right. So it's still a people business, right?
yeah.
The housing, because you're going to live in it. It's still a people business. Now, are there tools? There's great tools that come out every day that help to automate certain parts of the process? Sure. Do I think, title and escrow will be more automated over the next few years? Yes, absolutely. And I think blockchain and NFTs can actually will be key in that part of this process. But overall, I would say uh, the core of the business is still a people business. There are billions of dollars that have been put to work to eliminate the agent, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like, look at even these discount brokerages that come up. You had Purple Bricks; they were gone quickly. They tried to automate things. Redfin, they are still trying to automate, but they still can't seem to find their footing. And in the hottest real estate market ever, right? Last year, you had more growth in values than ever in the history of the country, I believe. Uh, and if your company, which is automated, which is basically based on, hey, anyone can sell a house on the internet using our automated process, if you're not the number one company in the world at that point, it's not going to work. It's just it's a flawed system, right?
I think sometimes people try to digitize stuff without having any community around them, which is the other word I thought you might have used instead of business, because you're probably creating communities and long-term relationships and all of that. But if you have no community and you just try to come in, it's going to go nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a stockbroker, sure, automate away. But this is literally a business where either you're buying a house to live in or you're buying a house for humans to live in. You need humans to be involved. It's a core of the business. I mean, it's the core of the whole idea, right? Even if you didn't think of it as a business, even if you just had, a location where people were going to live, people have to go there. People have to be there. They have to work together to create, an environment to live in. Right? You're not going into your apartment building. Years ago I saw this show and everything was the concierge was a robot and everything was a robot. And even then, when the robots went down, the people still had to come out and meet each other after years and build that community, like you were saying. It's the core of living.
Yes. Yeah. So I do a lot of work in the economic development space. I have contracts with our economic developers, and there's always an attraction effort in all of the, they want more people to move to their cities. Why do people move to cities?
Oh, well, there's a few core reasons, right? People move or stay in cities mainly, largely for family, jobs, safety, because they think there's growth there, but mainly jobs and families are actually the number one reasons. Lifestyle is another big one. Like right now, you're seeing, I think there's actually going to be a big shift, because if you look at historical models, everything has been around either transportation or city centers. And that's what's always driven people. That's why when people said, okay, there's city centers, then there's multiple city centers, then there was trains, right? And then they thought it was like the end of cities when there was freeways, because suddenly people could get place to place much more quickly. But now I think we're going to see, and we're already starting to see it actually, this rise of decentralized cities, because as we can all teleport to and from work, and by teleport I mean like Zoom or like video chat like this, we can literally teleport anywhere. I mean, you're in a different state than me right now, and we're in the same room. We're talking face to face, right? And now I believe only 30% of jobs are actually geographically restrictive. So over time, it's going to be more about safety, access to hospitals, access to medical care. I mean, it was like this massive run away from the city, and then people realized, well, we need some things. We need certain infrastructure in our life, like access to food and hospitals is a big one. I think people forgot about hospitals through the way there. But also schools, lifestyle. But a lot of it that people don't think about is family, and they want to be wherever their community is. So like a lot of people have moved out of state, but they moved to states where they already had a built-in community, right? Because and why do people want to be by community? It's safety, it's familiarity. The whole idea is it takes a village. Well, even if you don't have a kid, you want to be in a village, right? You want your village.
Those connections that you have in community are the opposite of all the things that are bad. The mental health issues, addiction, being unhoused at some point. You need that community.
Absolutely. The community is the safety, the comfort. Absolutely. Yeah.
So you've said three words that now really got me going, because you said blockchain, NFTs, and decentralization, which you weren't talking about at the time. But can you give us a hint of where you think, and again, this is not any advice to anybody on this regard, because we're going into a unregulated, lawless kind of space here.
Absolutely.
But where do you think that blockchain is going to help in real estate,
Well, I
or
think
where
there.
are you seeing?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a few different things in the future, and then there's some things I'm seeing now. So things I think in the future that are going to change is title will be probably more on a public blockchain system, and deeds could, I think, in the future will be um, NFT based, right?
Mhm.
Because it makes sense. You can it's different. The difference of electronic and digitalized, right? So you can have things that are electronic right now, like your banking example, right? That's electronic, but for the most part, it's not digitalized yet. So this will be the difference of electronic title and digitalized. And so I think in the future, title and ownership will be based on it'll be shown on a blockchain system, and deeds and things will be there'll be NFTs involved for sure. Now,
Yeah.
how I'm seeing it used now, um, one of the ways is fractional equity, for example. So there's a couple companies, right, um, that you can sell a fraction of your equity in your house. So let's say there's you buy a house for $800,000, it goes up to $1 million. Well, now you have $200,000 of equity. Now, traditionally, you only have the ability to take that money out if you refi, which means you're paying interest, or if you sell the house, which means you no longer have the house, right? So now you have to buy a new
Right.
house, and a whole nother problem. So this company, these companies had a new idea, which is you can sell a piece of that equity, right? Which that's not really the new part of the idea that you could do. The problem was if I'm the buyer of that equity, now to get my money out, I have to wait for the house to sell, right? Which, that could be 10, 20, 30 years down the way. And now my money's tied up. So another way a way to solve that problem is to digitalize that that equity, and you can put it in these pools and basically tokenize it, and then you can buy, sell, and trade the tokens, and it literally makes a illiquid asset liquid and tradable, and it's a very elegant solution. So that's
See, I want to
one.
go. You gave me a couple companies. We won't say them, but I'll go look at them. I really love talking about this. We're doing a lot of things, and I also I get so excited about it. I can dominate the rest of the conversation asking you questions about this.
Well,
But
ask me. I'm happy there's
well,
so many aspects of it.
are there? You know, it's unregulated in so many ways right now. Like Wyoming has done a good job of tying their laws into the crypto world, but
Hmm.
like in Michigan here, some of the things we're due, before we press a button, we're worried, is this going to land us in prison sometime by doing this? Are we selling a security here? All that stuff starts to make us a little bit fear based.
Right.
So, uh, and you're probably kind of watching it and utilizing it, so you're not on the development side. But is there anything that you think would be really cool if we could do it with crypto?
Well, I think if we could fully move to NFTs as the ownership, that would be really great. And it'd be nice because it would smooth the process. I think we could incorporate a lot of smart contracts into the sales process, which would not eliminate people, but it would automate parts of the process, right?
Right.
Um, 12 years of experience tells me that would be at this point impossible to fully automate, but you could definitely make lots of parts of it more simple and clear
Yeah.
and clean. And like title in general, if you could just put that whole system on blockchain, that would be so much more logical than having each city you know uh, try to run back the last 100 years of who's owned the property and every lien and every issue that's happened with it. So those are some key things. I'm already seeing also something else that's interesting that a lot of people don't realize is there's a lot of companies that you can just go and use your crypto to buy houses now, right?
Oh yeah.
There are escrow companies. You can take your Bitcoin, give them the Bitcoin, they will give you the house. They'll before you had to do this wild conversion system and all this stuff, or they just wouldn't take it at all. Now you can just give them Bitcoin or Ethereum, and you're buying a house today.
Yeah.
The other thing
And
that's interesting is when people leverage, they take a lien out against the crypto. They and
yeah,
then
the DeFi.
yeah, the DeFi space is phenomenal. That's going to be really interesting. Right now, it's still early. I think that DeFi is still kind of an expensive space to be in that way. But
Mhm.
there I see people who have really made it work for them very well, and I would like to see that be more normalized. I think that would be a great advantage for people, and another option to get out away from banks a little bit.
Yeah. All right. So I want to get back and kind of reading your bio earlier.
Oh yeah.
Celebrity houses. You're out in LA doing this. You know all the movie stars. They come to you and for all the advice, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because that is one of the small sections of people that it's usually not their only house, right? It's usually not their biggest investment, in fact, right? I mean, if you have a client who's making, let's just say $5 million a month, right? Even if they buy a $20 million house, it's not their biggest asset. So then it becomes much more of two things, because they're usually going to own multiple homes at that point, right? So now you go, okay, how much time are you spending in each home? Do you want to turn it into rental part of the time? Do you not care about that? I mean, if you look at like Carbon Beach right here in Malibu, most of those homes are not occupied 80% of the time. They're really just occupied during the summer, and that's it. So, I mean, I have some clients that have the most elaborate private studios in their houses. Um, some have bowling alleys. I mean, it all depends what they want to do. I have one guy who had a 3,000, no, sorry, yeah, 3,000 square foot pool built with an island in the middle because he wanted that feeling of having a private island, which that was his way to achieve it while still being at
So
home.
it's I deal with a lot of we're a grassroots organization, the Unhoused. We give out food and clothing and stuff like that. I've been to Los Angeles many times and seen
Mhm.
the tents around. My crowd's just cringing right now. Why do they have these big houses? We need more affordable housing. But we're really not talking about the same thing there,
Yeah,
right?
those are two very different, you know, different
Yeah,
polar opposites of the economy and
yeah,
of the world. But it's interesting because a lot of the areas, speaking of more of the unhoused, a lot of the areas now they're putting in they're taking advantage of tiny homes. And
hmm
so like the VA, which was in Brentwood, there was blocks all around the VA unhoused with tents. Now they moved them all onto the VA property in tiny homes. It's these they're building these little communities of tiny homes now, and they're doing it in like 4 or 5 places in the valley, on the west side, and it's a kind of interesting, seemingly elegant solution. I'm going to see how it plays out, but it's an
yeah.
interesting option here.
Yeah, my daughter who lives in LA sends me those stories all the time. She's really fascinated with tiny homes and helping the unhoused. But so I've got the Capital City Film Festival is going to start tonight here, and they're testing the
Mhm.
sound. So if you hear anything bleeding through, I'm sorry about that. But let's promote a little bit. You've got your Instagram, you've got your website, I'm sure. But
Oh
how can
yeah, yeah.
people
So,
learn more about you?
well, I have a few ways. The great initial way to connect is my Instagram right now, because um, I post several educational videos there every week. and it's a great way to connect. I also have my website, which is just my last name, Getzel's Group, getzelsgroup.com. It's with my whole team. The nice thing about it is I have in our current real estate environment across the country, inventory is very, very low. So we have a great, very large private database of homes that aren't on Zillow and all the public sites. So we give people a great advantage to get access to homes before they're on the market, and very often we can get them sold that way. But my Instagram is the best, Getzel's Group. It's just at Getzel's Group, Getzels Group. And I post educational videos there. And if anybody has questions or about anything real estate related, I'm happy to help. And I also do a weekly private podcast that if somebody is interested in viewing, they can send me a private message and I can, maybe get them an invite there.
Okay.
I have lots of interesting people that pop through from my, both on my Instagram and my, on my other podcasts and things. For example, I had the founder of apartments.com. I've had people from the White House, the housing board. So like opportunity zones. A lot of people don't know about opportunity zones, but it's a great way to mitigate your capital gains, not just in real estate. So that's the nice thing. So there's 1031. Yeah. But opportunity zones is you can use capital gains, put it into real estate, and really mitigate your taxes. I can really get into that detail later, but it's kind of, there's a lot of factors to it. But it's so there's all these cool programs, right? That we talk about on Instagram and on my website. So happy for anybody to reach out anytime.
We'll get that all out there, and I'll come stalk you on Instagram a little bit.
Okay, great. I'd love that.
Someone wants to buy a house. It's either their first time or they're moving or whatever. What's the first thing they should do today?
So the first thing they should do is the first thing is figure out the area you want to be in and get a great lender in that state. I have actually a network of people all around the country. So if you are interested in buying a house anywhere in the U.S., I can guide you to where you want to go. But realistically, what that process is going to look like is get connected with a lender, get connected with a good local agent to help guide you to find the right house to help you achieve your lifestyle. And then, it's a very, very competitive market right now. So you need a great agent who knows how to write the offer to get that deal done. It's not just about price. People always think, oh, well, if I just don't have the most money, I'm out. But it's not just about price. It's more about terms right now, because prices are going to be prices, but closing the deal is important. So, the longer your house is on the market, the lower the price is going to go. And I've seen all kinds of interesting terms right now. Right now you see a lot of creative things like leasebacks and, leasebacks is a big thing because people don't know where they're going to go. So that's a big advantage. Shorter contingencies or creative kind of incentives to get the deal done. That's what you really need to find out. And then also you want an agent who's experienced in that area, because very often a relationship with the other agent can help get into the deal. If they know you're an agent and know you're going to close the deal, your client's more likely to get that escrow, to get into escrow and get that house. That makes sense, Jerry?
Right. Yeah, it's great advice. So thank you so very much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. I hope to talk to you again sometime. I'm fascinated with. I'm surprised to meet a real estate agent that was well versed in crypto, to be honest with you, and I'm super excited about it.
Oh yeah, we could go just talk for half an hour just about crypto and real estate if you wanted to. I mean, that's a whole deep space.
I might ask you again.
And
Huh?
I'm going to tease you with this. I'm going to leave you with this little tease. We didn't even touch on digital, virtual real estate. That's a whole nother world.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. I'm calling you back pretty soon.
All right. I can't wait.
All right. Thank you so much, Nathaniel. I hope you have a great day. Stay cool out there in LA. I know it's burning up right now. And we love you all. That's another Every Damn Day, and we will see you tomorrow. Stick with me for one.